Imagine you are walking into a luxury boutique. The lighting is perfect, the smell of leather fills the air. You walk over to the glass display case and you see it. A magnificent watch. It catches the light perfectly. You look at the price tag. $2,000. You flinch. $2,000 is a lot of money. In fact, it feels outrageous. You shake your head and start to walk away. But then, right next to it, you see another watch. It looks almost identical. Same brand, similar style. But this one is $500. Suddenly, $500 doesn't feel expensive. It feels like a steal. It feels like the bargain of the century. You reach for your wallet, feeling like a genius who just found a loophole. But here is the uncomfortable truth. You did not find a deal. You fell into a trap. That $2,000 watch, it wasn't there to be sold. It was there to make the $500 watch look cheap. Welcome to Strategy Decoded. Today, we are dismantling one of the most powerful psychological tools used by the world's biggest brands. It is called the anchoring bias. And once you see it, you will never look at a price tag the same way again. To understand how your brain is being hacked, we have to go back to a moment that changed tech history. The year was 2010. Steve Jobs was on stage. He was about to launch the iPad. At that time, analysts and experts were speculating about the price. Everyone thought this magical tablet would cost $1,000. So, Steve Jobs stands on stage. Behind him, on a massive screen, the number 999 appears. He lets it sit there. He talks about how expensive technology usually is. He lets the audience get used to that number. He sets the anchor. Then he says, quote, "I am thrilled to announce that the iPad pricing will start not at $999, but at $499. On the screen, a massive sledgehammer smashes the $999 price tag, and $499 appears. The crowd went wild. It felt incredibly cheap. But ask yourself this, is $500 for a giant iPhone actually cheap? Maybe, maybe not. But compared to the $1,000 anchor that Jobs planted in their brains 60 seconds earlier, it felt like a gift. This is the core of anchoring. Human beings are terrible at evaluating value in absolute terms. If I show you a strange metal object from an alien planet and ask you what it costs, you have no idea. Is it $10? Is it $10,000? Your brain has no reference point. We need comparisons to make judgments. We need an anchor. The anchor is simply the first piece of information you receive. It sets the bar. Let's look at a classic business case study, the story of the bread maker. Years ago, William Sonoma introduced a home bread maker. It cost $275. It was a flop. Nobody bought it. Why? Because consumers had no anchor. They asked themselves, do I need a bread maker? Is $275 a good price for a machine that just makes toast? They introduced a second bread maker. This one was bigger, slightly better, and it cost $429. Suddenly, sales of the $275 machine exploded. Why? Because the narrative changed. Now the question was, why would I buy the expensive one when the cheaper one does almost the same thing? This happens everywhere. Think about a restaurant menu. At the top right, a signature Wagyu steak, $120. Most people won't order that. But then you see the roasted chicken for $35. Suddenly, $35 for chicken seems reasonable. That expensive steak is not there to be ordered. It is there to sell the chicken. Let's talk about the decoy effect in the housing market. A real estate agent wants to sell House A. They take you to House B first. House B is a dump. Paint peeling, yard is a mess, but it costs the same as House A. You hate House B. Then you see House A. Suddenly it looks like a palace. Your brain compares A to B, not A to the market value. How do you use this in salary negotiations? There is a myth that you should never say the first number. Psychological research suggests the exact opposite. Whoever drops the first number sets the anchor. If your boss says 50,000, you are anchored low. Fighting to 60 is fighting gravity. But if you say, I'm looking for $80,000, boom, you have set the anchor. Now they negotiate down from 80. Even if you land at 70, it feels like a compromise, but you won. Cognitive psychologists call this arbitrary coherence. Our brains are lazy. Dan Ariely at MIT asked students to write down the last 2 digits of their social security number. Just random numbers. Then he asked them to bid on items like wine. Students with high numbers, like 80 or 90, bid 3 times more than students with low numbers. A random number anchored their perception of value. So how do you defend yourself? The first step is awareness. When you see a discount tag that says, was 100, now 50, ignore the 100. Cover it with your thumb. Is this item worth $50 on its own merit? The second defense is to create your own anchors. Do your research. Find the real market value. Fix that number in your mind. If the dealer says 30,000, laugh at it. Stick to your 20. You must bring your own data to the fight. Companies have hired teams of psychologists. They know that if they put a $5,000 handbag in the window, you will buy the $500 wallet. They are playing a game. And until today, you might not have known the rules, but now you do. Next time, ask yourself, where is the anchor? Don't let them set the value. You set the value. If you want to understand the hidden strategies that govern the business world, make sure you subscribe to Strategy Decoded. Tell me in the comments, what is the most expensive anchor you have ever seen? I'll see you in the next video.